next to General Vinod Bhatia, who's been Director General Military Operations. It's a privilege to have you on board here, sir. And also former director of the CENJO, Center for Joint Warfare Studies, which is the think tank established by Integrated Defense Staff. It was meant to have the tri-service. And he's also a battle-hardened, seasoned warrior. He's a paratrooper. It's a fascination for any infantryman to be a paratrooper. I wanted to always have the maroon beret, but it's very few who actually get to be there, and they are really the final arm that we have, and we've seen how they performed in our. It's a matter of pride for us when you see the maroon berets march down our Rajpath and see their accomplishments. So he's also been DGMO. He's also handled a lot of humanitarian operations in Uttarakhand floods and the one that we've seen in Sikkim earthquake. And as a paratrooper, I forgot to mention, he's also been involved in the Operation Cactus, in which we was one of our India's interesting operations, and gunport diplomacy that we can call. In those days, for some reason, India was capable of. We've seen that in Seychelles, we saw that in Mauritius, we saw that in Maldives. And it is something that is very fascinating, and General Bhatia was part of that. So I hand over the floor to General Bhatia for his session. Look forward to hearing it,
sir. Jai Hind, I'm audible. Thank you, Colonel Pillai. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you, Indic Researchers Forum, for this opportunity to be on the same platform with friends General Khandare is here, General Ashok Shivani, and Admiral Shekhar Sinha, Mr. Devi Prasad. Thank you very much. I've been listening to the conversations for the last 2 days, more often not throughout. Very interesting. Thank you very much. Very, very good question. I must also thank Yasser Arya and of course General Kocha. Thank you. The brief given to me is to detail the cross-border counter-terrorism operations and capabilities. However, before I do that, I would like to cover two aspects which have been covered earlier, but in a different perspective. When you talk of a 2.5 front war, and I heard more than a couple of speakers say that we'll never go to war. I retired about nearly 8 years ago, and when I retired, and I went to this circles where everyone talks and very few listen. So I was told always, General Sahab, kya baat karte ho? Ladai to hogi nahi. We'll never go to war. I said, yeah, I agree with you. Why should we go to war? Unfortunately, it is not understood that the militaries are not meant to fight wars. They're meant to ensure peace. There's a difference between the two. We have to look at the national aims. What's the national aim? National aim to transform India to a modern, prosperous, secure nation. It is secure what we're talking about. We need security. And when we talk about security, and General Khandare is here, it talks of comprehensive national security. Right? What's our aim? Long-term peace, stability, and development. Now, this is an egg and chicken situation. Without peace and stability, you cannot have economic development. And as we all know, the Northeast and Jammu and Kashmir, without development, you can't have peace and stability. So you got to have a balance between everything. I heard some of the speakers say, no, war will never. War, oh, definitely, war is not an option. War is the last resort. And it is, in the last 8 years, we've been near a war situation 4 times. First, post-Uri, escalation was possible, and we were prepared. Second time, during what we generally now call Doklam, which is actually Dolam, 2017, when the Chinese came in and they threatened to build a road up to Jamfari Ridge, which overlooks the Siliguri corridor, the 22-kilometer long corridor, which connects 8.5 states, 5 crore people. The third time was, of course, in February 2019, 3 years ago, after the Pulwama and the punitive operations in Jabba Top. I don't call it Balakot, it's Jabba Top. There's a difference between the two. And the fourth time, of course, in May, June 2020, Galwan. It could have escalated. It could have spiraled out of control. But why did it not spiral? That's a key question. Because we are prepared. So when you talk of operational preparedness, when you talk of operational readiness, it is for ensuring peace. It is not for war fighting alone. It's for ensuring peace. And it's an old कहावत, अगर हम कमजोर होंगे तो हमारे पे लड़ाई होगी, अगर हम कमजोर नहीं होंगे तो लड़ाई नहीं होगी. So we have to make sure that we are prepared for war, we are operationally prepared, we are operationally ready to ensure peace and not to fight wars. So that is where I would like to differ from my earlier speakers who have said that war is not an option, war will not happen, war will not happen. We cannot say with guarantee. The world is changing. The wars can take place, and escalation control is not always in our hands. Things do spiral out. Having said that, let me come to the brief given, which is cross-border counter-terrorism operation capabilities. As we all know, India shares land borders of 15,106.7 kilometers with 7 nations. Right? China 3,400 kilometers. China has been supporting insurgencies in the northeast way back. I don't know whether they support it now or not. I'm not too current. But they have the capability to support it because networks exist. It's the networks that matter. It is not what they do that matter. It's the intent can change. The capabilities are there. Then, of course, we have Pakistan. We share actual ground position line of 121 kilometers, line of control of 771 kilometers, and the borders of 3,323 kilometers. Perpetual mischievous adversary. It doesn't matter whether Pakistan loses or gains, but it matters to Pakistan when India loses. So that is the difference. It wants to hurt India, mischievous Pakistan. We also share borders with Nepal, 1,751 kilometers, and we have the Maoist issue where the Maoists have been going across and coming back. Bhutan, again, 699 kilometers. We had, and I'll cover that later also, some of our groups, ULFA and DFP especially, who have had camps earlier in southern Bhutan. Bangladesh, 4,996 kilometers, the longest borders we have. And Bangladesh, presently we have a friendly government, but there have been many years when Bangladesh was perpetually harboring, supporting our insurgent groups in the northeast. It's a very dangerous situation. And also coming to Myanmar. Now, Myanmar, we share 1643 kilometers of borders, and there are numerous groups as been covered in the earlier sessions. Manipur, Nagaland, and they have the bases across, the camps across, and they operate from there. Of course, the seventh country we share borders of Afghanistan, and it's 6 kilometers. That is not directly affected us. So let me see what is cross-border. When we talk of cross-border operations, what are cross-border operations? We should divide into cross-border and cross-LC. Because when in Pakistan it's cross-LC operations and not cross-border operations, let me put it in perspective, because that is Pakistan occupied Kashmir, that's our territory. And when Uri happened and Pakistan said that no operations have been conducted on the soil of Pakistan, they were absolutely right. We did not conduct operations on the soil of Pakistan, we conducted operations on our own soil, Indian soil, but the cross-LC operations. Right? When we talk about cross-border operations, I would divide them into 3: tactical, operational, and strategic. Most of the time, we've been doing tactical and operational cross-border cross-LC operations. But given the present situation, even tactical cross-border cross-LC operations can have strategic implications. And I know at least 2 of us present on this platform who have planned and executed cross-LC operations and cross-border operations. I know the Kalpile, you've been taking part in some of the cross-border operations or not along the Indo-Myanmar border. But yes, it is not, earlier days, it was not uncommon. I would not say it's common, but it's not uncommon to have cross-LC operations or cross-border operations, especially in Myanmar and Pakistan. It's not uncommon. Of course, things have changed after that. Let me first take the more interesting Myanmar border. Myanmar has got numerous insurgent camps, as we all know. On either side of the Indo-Myanmar border, there are about 300,000 people with ethnic similarities, with tribal loyalties, who reside on either side of the border. There are about 200 crossing points, formal and informal, with a free move regime of 16 kilometers. And it is very porous. The complete border is very porous, jungle terrain. Anyone can come and anyone can go. Actually, borders are divided people. The borders are artificial, this thing, but they have divided people. They are borders, all right. We've had many of our thinkers say that we should fence the border. I don't think that's an answer, not along the Myanmar border. But there have been many this thing that we should create BOPs that fence the borders. Fences are only a hindrance. It is not it doesn't stop people from crossing over. And so we have numerous Indian insurgent groups who have actually uh, taken not shelter, I would say, who have camps out there because on the western borders in Myanmar, the Tamada doesn't really, have the say as it would like to. They have the Western Command, and that has been there. But all the same, they do not have that sort of administrative control which they would like to, and hence they have a free run. It is also a commercial enterprise. The Northeast insurgencies, if I may say so today, are an industry. It's a commercial enterprise. It is no longer the insurgency which we saw earlier. And one good thing I would like to bring out here is India was the third nation to resolve an insurgency. First being, of course, the British in Malaya, second was the French in Algiers, and third was India in Mizoram. The Mizo insurgency was resolved on 15th August 1985. It was a proper resolution at the political level, held by the military, which created the environment for resolution. So when the Northeast insurgency covered it, all was being said. Today, I think Northeast insurgencies, or terrorism Northeast, is subcritical. It is in the law and order domain, not in the public order domain. If you look at the numbers, it is in single-digit violence levels, and I think there has to be a political will to resolve it. In 2015 June, the NSCN Accord was signed, the Naga Accord. We really do not know the details. It's not been implemented as yet. Now, over the years, a number of cross-border operations have been planned and executed in Myanmar. Some of them at the tactical level with little depth, some at the operational level, and some at the strategic level also. I remember in November of 1984, the NSCN had ambushed the Western Army commander of the Tamada, and thereafter, with their on their insistence, we were prepared to go in to destroy the NSCN camps, both the GHQ and the other camps. It did not come about, but I was part of the planning and the training processes. So it did not come about, but there were a number of occasions where we done. But the last one was in 2015 June, after the ambush on Dogras, where we lost 15 of our soldiers made the supreme sacrifice, and we had 21 para SF going across and destroying NSCNK camp. So that was an extent operation, and that I would say was a strategic level because it was done, which had an impact. And actually, when you talk about strategic level, it is the impact that matters, and that had an impact. And I do not know whether, I'm not too sure. I was not in service that time, but I would like to say that it would have been done by the connivance of the Myanmar army and the Myanmar government at that point of time. So along the Myanmar border, I think we have the capability when we talk about capabilities, to conduct cross-border operations fairly deep. Because when we do the cross-border operations, we make sure that there's no collateral damage. That is something which didn't happen even in the June 2015 operation and the earlier operations also. Collateral damage is not there. Collateral damage is really not acceptable because these camps are removed from the villages, so it is possible to hit them, and we have the capabilities both by foot insertion and including aerial insertion by helicopters if need be. And we have the support at times of the Myanmar army, which is deployed in the west. Bangladesh, fortunately, we have a friendly government. Bangladesh is a country we have fenced from all sides, but that does not prevent either migration or smuggling in totality, because fences are just an obstacle, like we have in the LC. But Bangladesh is mostly fenced, but it has a number of rivers, number of channels from which even cattle can be crossed over, men can go. And we have not, because of the friendly government, we have not been actually conducting any cross-border operations with Bangladesh. Been friendly for the last now 8 years, 9 years now. I think 2014 January, when the present government was re-elected. Right. But we do have earlier instances of carrying out operation the Chittagong tracts when the major insurgents were there. Things have changed now, and we don't need to do that. Bhutan. Bhutan is the only country in our neighborhood which has actually taken action against the Indian insurgent groups in its territory. That was 17 December 2003 when Operation All Clear was carried out by the Royal Bhutanese Army. There were camps of the NDFP and the ULFA in southern Bhutan. And on 17th December, which happens to the Bhutan day also, they were the Bhutanese army. They attacked these camps and then they pushed them back into our territory, and we were deployed on the borders. And when they came, when they tried to cross over to Indian territory, we were there to receive them. And that is, I think, a big blow to the insurgencies, the Bodo insurgency and the Assam insurgency. And we find that the things have changed over the years because of that particular operation, and where Bhutan has now ensured thereafter that they do not let the ULFA and the NDFP have sanctuaries or camps on southern Bhutan on their side. So that has helped us again. We in earlier occasions we have crossed over. These are very very easy to cross over. The international border is there, but when you are doing a pursuit operations, they tend to go across to the other countries, and we have crossed over at various occasions. Let me say that, and but that is more of pursuit operations, and we have carried out raids along some of their known camps also, but not after 2003 because the Bhutanese do not allow them any leeway to establish camps there. Nepal, of course, the Maoist insurgency, we do there. The intelligence agencies are very good. And now let me come to the most interesting one, which is Pakistan. Pakistan has been a challenge, Pakistan adversary, mischievous. It's carried out terrorism, insurgencies, militancy, whatever you call it, with the impunity and perpetuity, starting from December of 1989. And they have supported terrorism, they have sponsored terrorism, they have engineered terrorism, and they have perpetuated attacks in India, not only Jammu and Kashmir, but all over. And most of these attacks, if you find the major attacks and high visibility attacks, high profile attacks, have either mostly preceded or proceeded diplomatic talks. So there is a deep state within Pakistan which does not want the India-Pakistan relations to improve. We had a fairly good run up to 2008, 2011, when the composite dialogue was going on, but that was not acceptable to that. Even if you look beyond that, if you look at 99 also, when Mr. Vajpayee went to the bus to Lahore, we had Kargil. When he came to Agra in July 2001, we had thereafter in December, we had the Parliament attack, which was not acceptable. And then if you go on and on, even after Pathankot, it was preceded by after a week of Mr. Modi's visit to Lahore. In the UFA meeting, the Gurdaspur attack took place after 7 days. So there is something which is there. And cross LC raids have taken place. General Khandare is here. There was a chap named Elias Kashmiri. I wonder if you heard of him. In February of 2000, he did, they carry out the raids, what they call the BAT action, and they have the disposable committee in terms of terrorists. And the BAT action is being supported by them and the SSG. And General Khandare, please correct me and you can talk about it later. When you raided after the Elias Kashmiri's raid on Nowshera. And that was an excellent raid, I think, planned and executed by General Khandare as the CO. His unit did it. An excellent raid. So we've been doing that. It's not that we've not been doing it, but things have changed ever since with the media and the media hype, and the dynamics have changed. When you talk of Pakistan, of course, all of you would have heard about the Uri raids. If not heard of, but if not known it totally, you've seen the movie, which is quite okay. So, what did that actually imply? I will take a minute out there because that is something at the strategic level. That is the first time India demonstrated a political military will. Earlier also, we have done raids. Even I have been involved in that, but these were at the tactical operational levels. Not at the strategic level. But post-Uri was the strategic level where we send a straight signal to Pakistan and the world that our strategic patience around, we demonstrate strategic resolve, We also do a strategic restraint when we hit only the launch pads. These are punitive and preemptive operations. Both punitive after Uri, preemptive because there were terrorists waiting to infiltrate on our side. So there are both punitive and preemptive operations. What they do? I'm given to understand I may be wrong by there. There were 7 targets, 7 teams, 7 hours to go and hit at the camps and come back. Pakistan not expecting it. They were not expecting it at all, and that was something which I think which took Pakistan a surprise. And they denied the attacks having taken place, but the world knew, everyone knew that we had done it. And here we demonstrated our will of raising the cost of Pakistan. Pakistan proxy war is a low cost, high effect war. We have to make it a high cost, low effect war. So that thing has to change. Pakistan has to bear the cost. Otherwise, in perpetuity, Pakistan will continue to spread terror across in our country. And after Uri, if you find there was the terrorism actually came down. Other than Kashmir, there were no terrorist attacks anywhere. The next happened in 2018 in Jammu. And I recollect having, I was taking a talk and addressing on counter-terrorism operations in NSG. And it was 14th of February, around 10 o'clock, I was saying that, there will be no major high-profile terror attack since only surgical strikes, right? And on 14th of February, we had Pulwama. So after that, again, Pulwama, we used air for the first time, and we used air in a terrorist training camp called Jabba Top, hitting at them. Unfortunately, I think let's be honest about it, in the Jabba Top strikes, we won the battle, but we lost the war. We lost the war of perception, the lost information war. Because suddenly it became Balakot. No, Balakot is 20 kilometers away. When you talk of plus minus a few meters of precision, then it is Jabba. So with Pakistan, what are we looking at? Pakistan, we're looking at cross-border operations as part of a counter-terrorism strategy. Cross-LC operations part of a counter-terrorism strategy. There were 38 odd camps they had. Some of them were active, some of them non-active. But they have the network and they have the infrastructure in these camps. So we should look at the 3P strategy of Pakistan. We're going to change Pakistan's behavior. How do we change Pakistan's behavior? By hitting at the Pakistani army, which relevance of the Pakistani army is anti-India, its political relevance, its economic relevance, and domestic relevance. So we'll have to raise the cost of the Pakistani army. How you do that is by the 3P strategy, which is proactive, punitive, and preemptive operations. So cross-LC operations, cross-border operations in Pakistan. I say cross-border, I mean in Pakistan. Right? They become a very important ingredient of our strategy to ensure peace, not only in Jammu and Kashmir, but in India. If you look at after February 2019, and I hope I don't go wrong again, I don't have a black tongue, we had no high-profile terror attacks or any terror attacks anywhere in India. Right? So because Pakistan and the nuclear rhetoric, it's a nuclear armed nation, the nuclear rhetoric, it used to talk about nuclear rhetoric and function and bleed India with 1,000 cuts at the low intensity conflict. A very smart strategy. Pakistan is smart. There's no doubt about it. Pakistan is very smart strategy, very smart. And we'll have to deal with Pakistan as it is. So the battle of perceptions also matter. And now that we have demonstrated that we can do that, I think we have really put Pakistan on the back foot. Pakistan knows that they cannot cross the red lines. I think I'm running out of time, but for that, we do need capabilities with Pakistan. We need real-time intelligence, and the former DGDI is here, is called intelligence aspects. We need real-time intelligence because intelligence is very important. Anything? Okay. We need to exploit technologies. And we need to coordinate between multiple agencies. There are multiple agencies and we need coordination, we need structures that was brought over by Shivani. So these are some of the things. Just a last word. I hope I have a minute. Yes, I do have. The global terror index was covered. India number 8. Now, the Western world, I don't know how they always put us down by manipulating statistics and figures. When it suits them, they'll go to percentages. When you talk of economy, they'll say percentages, right? Today, if we talk of PPP terms, India is the third largest economy in the world, 8.69 billion, 8 trillion dollars, right? But then they'll not talk about that. Okay. But when they talk of global terror index, they put India after Pakistan number 8 because they talk in absolute numbers, not in percentages. We're a big country, and we really done well. If you look at the numbers in Jammu and Kashmir, also post 5th of August 2019, you'll find the violence levels are not subcritical, I'll say, but they're much lower, much lower. They'll always talk of recruitment. They will not talk of the number of Kashmiris who come for recruitment into the security forces, the police, the army. They come in thousands. So that no one talk about. So we have this belief when all these great strategists and academicians and the media, the New York Times and others, when they talk of India, we are a resilient country, we're a responsible, resilient country, nation. We're a global leader now, and we need to assert ourselves. We should not take like this Hyundai Pakistan giving this treat. We should, I see no reason why the Hindu factory should not have its strikes all over for the next 1 month, 1.5 months. That's how we should do it. We have to play smart. And I'm saying it openly. Why should someone go into internal affairs? There's no reason. And today we'll have to assert ourselves. And that is where say, what if you want to ensure peace, you have to start asserting ourselves. We have to project and protect our national interests and our national assets. And I'll end out their cross-border operations are an integral part of our counter-terrorism strategy right now, both punitive and preemptive operations and proactive operations. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.